Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming this afternoon.
Yes.
This is a very exciting occasion. I want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee Iroquois people. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. I've been hearing stories on the doorstep every day about the challenges that people are facing here in Kingston when it comes to the high cost of living. And I hear frustration about politicians saying the right things and then not doing them. But Jagmeet Singh is different. He's talking about how to really make things better for people here in Kingston and across the country. He is the only leader taking on the rich and the well-connected. The only leader who is going to stand up to powerful insider lobbyists. And he is the only leader who is actually on your side. And that's why I am so proud to be running under Jagmeet's leadership. So please welcome the leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada and the next Prime Minister of Canada, Jagmeet Singh.
Wow, thank you so much. What an amazing crowd today. Thank you for being here. And I also got to thank Barrington, an incredible candidate, Barrington. You've inspired so many people. See so many folks that are coming out today because of your leadership and the work you've done in the community. We know that people need someone on their side. We've seen for too long in Ottawa, governments seem to be continually working, whether they're liberal or conservative, working to make life easier for the people at the very top, and that makes life harder for everyone else. And we're going to change that. We're going to change that together. So there's lots that we can talk about, and Barrington, you touched on a lot of problems, housing affordability, and the fact that the wealthiest aren't paying their fair share. Today we're at a local farmers market. We want to talk about what it means to be at this market. Local farmers are incredibly important. We know that they produce the food that we eat. Now, with climate crisis looming, it's harder and harder for farmers. They're being impacted by climate crisis like all of us, but they're feeling it directly in their livelihood. It's harder and harder to be a farmer given the unpredictability of weather. Extreme weather means sometimes there's too much rain, there's sometimes far less. And that's always been a concern for farmers, but now it's been more intense and more severe than ever before. And given those worries, we know that they need us to step up and fight climate crisis. So I'm really proud to tell you, we've got a plan. We've got our plan, the power to change, because we have the power to change the direction of our country if we work together. We have a bold plan to ambitiously and boldly and proudly take on the climate crisis by ending fossil fuel subsidies, by investing energy and our money into renewable and clean energy sources. We can actually change the way we've done things. You know, when I see young people and I see in their eyes the fear and worry about the future, we owe it to those young people to make sure they can look at us and say, we are going to fight for your future. We are going to commit to use everything we can to tackle the climate crisis. When I think about farmers today, there's a lot of local producers that want to be able to provide food for their communities. And there's a lot of people that want to be able to buy local food. So local food is a part of our way to tackle the climate crisis. We've got to make sure we support farmers who want to produce locally and those who want to buy locally to be able to access that food affordably. So we're committing to that today as well, to making sure we connect farmers in the local community so people can eat local food. And And I just want to mention one thing about farmers. They've been left behind. You know, liberal and conservative governments have ignored them. And we've seen very recently, just recent reports, that Mr. Trudeau listened to a CEO who gave him advice to make concessions that hurt dairy farmers just to please Mr. Trump. You know, I want folks to know I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand up to Mr. Trump. I'm going to stand up for farmers. I'm going to stand up for the good people of Kingston, for the young people that want to see us have bold action on climate crisis. We're in it for you, not for the powerful, but for the people. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to take some questions from the media.
May I just ask, I don't have a microphone, but...
Yeah. I think we got one.
Oh, he's got, sorry about that.
Alex Ballingall from the Toronto
I'll
Star.
tell him to come to you.
Okay.
Hey, Alex.
How's it going?
Good, man.
During the debates on Thursday, Elizabeth May was critiquing everyone else's climate plan. She said your targets, the 38% below 2030, in your plan that you're holding, are not based on science. I wondered if you could respond to that.
No, it's not true at all. Our plan is based on the science. We all know the science is very clear. We've got to keep warming to 1.5 degrees. And we know that's going to mean that we're going to have to dramatically reduce our emissions. It's going to be more than half of what we're already putting. We have to reduce dramatically. And we're prepared to do that. Our plan is in line with that, and it says very clearly that we're going to keep warming to 1.5 degrees. With the people here, with the young people that we're fighting for, with farmers who are worried about their future as farmers, we owe it to them, and we're ready to do it.
I'm wondering if you can clear up some of the confusion around your position on the liquefied natural gas development in BC. You seem to suggest at points previously that because of a lack of Indigenous support, you're against it at this point, but you support BC's climate plan, so you also suggest that you might be in favor of approving it. I just want to very clearly, are you for or against the massive LNG development in BC?
So my position is, when it comes to energy in Canada and energy around the world, we have to get off of all forms of carbon. That's the future. We know that's where we need to go. And to get there, to get to the point where we have no use, we're not burning or fracking, we're not using any carbon for energy, for fuel, what we need to do is invest heavily in clean and renewable energy. And that means ending fossil fuel subsidies. And we're going to do that immediately. On day one of a new Democrat government, we end fossil fuel subsidies. When it comes to the project in BC, with any project, there needs to be ongoing work to make sure that all communities are consulted appropriately and that everyone has buy-in. There's been significant work done. There's always more work to be done. But I'm confident in BC's plan because they have, without any question, the most ambitious climate action plan in Canada. They have one of the best climate action plans in North America, and that's something that we can be inspired by. They're taking it seriously. They understand how important it is for our kids, how important it is for farmers that we tackle climate crisis. And so I'm inspired by that. I'm disappointed at the federal level that we don't have those targets, that Mr. Trudeau has approved Trans Mountain without factoring that into our emission strategy and without considering the impact that might have on the coastline in BC and the thousands of jobs that are at risk if diluted bitumen is to spill on the coastline. It could devastate the marine diversity, it could devastate the environment, and dramatically impact employment. So that's my position on all those. Yes. Hi.
You were mentioning in your opening there that you want to connect so people can eat local food. Is there anything particular in your program to help a lot of Canadians eat more local food?
Yeah, so we're talking about just building out that strategy, that we want to invest in making sure we connect, working with all levels of government, so working with municipalities and provinces, and working with at the federal level to ensure that those who are producers, like the producers behind us that we're going to speak with today, that farmers can connect better with local communities and provide those foods, the produce that they make, the produce that they make, and that people can afford that, there's affordability there as well. Farmers want to produce, local communities want to buy it. It's our job to make sure we connect the two.
Is there any nugget in there that you can say that we're going to do something like this? There are a lot of people who would prefer to eat local, but it's actually cheaper to eat worse food and eat food that's cheaper.
That's absolutely true, and that's why what we're announcing today is effectively that we are prepared to build out that strategy. We've got a commitment in our document in terms of funding. We are going to sit down and build that out because it's important. We are acknowledging that there's a need, and you've touched on it. There are people that want to buy locally, there's producers that want to produce locally, but it's too expensive for a lot of people, and it's hard, it's not accessible all the time. We want to make it more accessible. It should be, the healthy choice should always be the easier choice. The more environmentally friendly choice should be the easier choice, and that's the job and the role of the federal government, to make it the easier choice, so that we can actually help local producers. We can create a climate where people can eat local food. It reduces their emissions, it reduces emissions for the food being produced, and it's just better for everybody.
Hi, Mr. Singh. This is actually a question for my colleagues at W5. How prepared is your party to deal with foreign cyber interference and the use of fake news online during this election?
It's something that we're seeing more and more of, and we know it's a troubling trend. In the States, there's been, as many people know, ongoing concerns and investigations into foreign influence. The use of cyber attacks and fake news is becoming more and more commonplace. So it's something I think we all have to steel ourselves against. As a party, we're taking all the efforts we can to make sure that our information is secure. We're using our secure sources to keep our data, and we're doing our best. At the federal level, we implore the government to take all the steps possible to make sure we're preventing foreign interference from really interfering with the foundation of our democracy, which is the right to choose who governs us. And if that decision is in any way influenced by those who are not Canadian, those who are using cyber techniques or tactics, it's going to cut at the core of who we are as Canadians. So something we've got to be vigilant about. We take precautions as a party, but we have to take precautions as a government as well.
How much attention do you think voters pay to the comments made about you and your party on Twitter or Facebook, or for that matter, any other social media platform?
I think it's hard to gauge that. It's hard to measure it exactly, but there is an impact for sure. And when fake news is spread, it has an impact. And when it's shared, it doubles or enforces that impact. So I think it's really important for us to make sure we are holding those web giants to account as well, to make sure that they're doing their part, not to allow fake news to proliferate or false information to be spread. And that's why it's important that we have some more checks and balances in place to ensure that that's being done, that those parties are doing their part. And we saw Facebook was testifying at the congressional level in the States to show what they're doing. I think it is important that governments make sure that the different web giants are doing their part to make sure their information that's on their platforms is being shared, that's accurate, and that there's good reporting of incorrect information. I think that's very important for us to be on top of.
Monsieur Singh, bonjour.
Oui, bonjour.
Ce matin, vous avez mentionné M. Trump, je vais me tenir debout devant M.
Oui.
Trump. Là, vous dites encore, je vais me tenir debout devant M. Trump. Pourquoi vous croyez que vous serez mieux capable de vous tenir debout devant M. Trump que M. Trudeau ou M. Chirac?
Parce que je suis prêt de me tenir debout. J'ai proposé des déclarations où j'ai montré que je n'ai pas peur de dire où il est en tort. J'ai dit que sa position par rapport aux familles, des petits bébés, c'est dégueulasse ce qu'il a fait. Et il faut le dire, on ne peut pas éviter de parler des choses comme ça. Donc aujourd'hui aussi, j'ai mentionné le fait que M. Trudeau a suivi les conseils d'un PDG pour faire des concessions qui a fait mal aux producteurs laitiers pour faire plaisir à M. Trump. Encore, ce n'est pas acceptable de faire ça. Je suis prêt avec des déclarations. J'ai déjà fait des déclarations. Je vais continuer de me tenir debout. Quelqu'un comme M. Trump qui est vraiment une menace pour la démocratie, pour une société où on vit ensemble.
In English, yeah. Go ahead in English. I'll allow it.
Say what I just said in English? and please keep in mind, Noel just allowed us to do that, so that's very generous of Noel. No, I was just saying that I'm prepared to stand up to Trump. I've already done it. I'm going to continue to do it. He's done really disgusting things. We've got to call out the treatment of families, babies being ripped from the arms of mothers. That's horrible. they're fellow human beings. They should not be treated that way. And the fact that Mr. Trudeau has remained silent, not called that out, is really troubling. And it's wrong. You've got to call out people who are doing these type of things. Canadians expect it. I'm willing to do it. I'm prepared to do it. And I also mentioned today that Mr. Trudeau took the advice of a CEO who said, make some concessions that might hurt the dairy farmers because it will please or it'll make Mr. Trump happy. That's not the way to conduct our affairs as a government, as a country, and I reject that approach.
Les producteurs laitiers au Québec sont probablement intéressés d'entendre vos commentaires là-dessus. Parlant du Québec, vous avez souvent ramené l'idée que vous voulez ramener la vision de Jack Layton pour le Québec. Jack Layton avait une vision qui parlait de protéger la langue française, de l'autodétermination au Québec. Quel aspect de la vision de Jack Layton vous voulez ramener pour séduire l'électorat québécois?
Mais c'est en fait, je peux partager mon histoire personnelle un peu ici, parce que comme un enfant à Windsor, une ville qui n'était pas vraiment une ville francophone, j'ai tombé en amour avec la langue française. Et ça m'a donné une grande richesse dans ma vie. Et je peux dire, à cause de ça, ça a vraiment donné beaucoup des occasions, des opportunités. Et je veux promouvoir la langue française. Et comme député provincial, j'étais membre de l'association parlementaire de la francophonie. Et j'étais membre de la comité de jeunesse. Et j'étais moins de 40 ans, c'est vraiment pas tellement jeunesse, mais c'était mon travail de promouvoir la langue française et je suis fier de ça. Et Jack Layton aussi a partagé cette vision qu'on peut travailler ensemble avec les progressistes au Québec, avec les restants du Canada. C'est quelque chose que je veux continuer. J'ai beaucoup de confiance qu'il y a plusieurs progressistes au Québec qui veulent avoir des alliés. Je suis un allié pour le Québec, pour la langue française et pour la vision d'un avenir progressiste et juste pour tout le monde. Yes.
Just one more question on the environment. There's been a lot of, or there was, I guess, a few weeks ago, a lot of discussion around where the current federal government would like the carbon tax to go. It's supposed to go to $50 per ton in 2022, and then there's some question as to where it will go after that. Can you tell us where you would like to see the carbon tax go after 2022? What price do you think would be appropriate in order to hit the targets that you've laid out?
Sure. I think the first approach should be, and what I would start with, just in terms of where I would go, is to stop exempting the biggest polluters. That would be my first step. Right now, you know, everyday families are paying their fair share, and there's a refund, which makes sense as well to help out families that are not in a position to pay. But the wealthiest and most powerful corporations that pollute the most should not be entitled to a massive exemption. We will never tackle climate crisis if that's our approach, and I want to change that first and foremost. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, everybody. That was awesome. Thank you, team. Thank you, Barrington. Thank you, all the candidates. Thank you. We're going to go check out the market now. See the market.
I have shows today and none of them has expressed interest in joining me. No.
The other story's better.
Why did it distract from it? I agree.